Hi guys, welcome back aboard good old Athena. We start out this week's video here in Ijmuiden, seaport marina close to Amsterdam. The seaport marina is in no way the nicest or the coziest marina I've ever been in. It's pretty big, it's pretty empty, and also it is starting to show its age a little bit. And for instance, the color scheme up at the laundry facilities are basically straight out of the mid-90s when this place was built. But there are a couple of big upsides to this place. For instance, it is right on the coast of the North Sea, so it's not a big detour, and also, well, there's plenty of room here. If you're new to our channel, my name is Mess, and this is my fiance Eva. I've spent the last 5 years doing a somewhat extensive refit on my Warrior 38 named Athena. Those efforts are documented in hundreds of videos here on YouTube. We're on our way from Denmark to the UK, where we'll be spending the winter before heading across the Atlantic next year. Much like last week when we were stuck on the small German island of Borkum, we're gonna stay put here in Ijmuiden for a few days while we wait for some weather to pass, and then we can move on towards the UK. But something really awesome has happened, something that's really brought down the stress levels here aboard Athena by quite a bit, and that's the fact that we've finally managed to solve Eva's visa issue, but more about that a little bit later. It looks like if we hold out here until early Saturday morning, we can get a nice smooth ride down to the Hague, where Eva has an appointment next week with immigration. But like I mentioned, we'll get back to the visa stuff a little bit later. For now, just know that it means that we can finally take a deep breath and just relax a little bit here aboard Athena. And why don't we celebrate that by doing some laundry?
Jeez, Mads, why do you use so much clothes?
We got the laundry started up at the marina facilities and headed out to check out the area around the marina. I don't know if it's just because we're here off season, but this place seems super dead. There's a lot of empty real estate and closed shops. A few kilometers from the marina, we found a fish market that made absolutely delicious fish and chips. It'll be interesting to see how the fish and chips in the UK stack up against this place. On our little adventure, we also found a marine store and picked up a few essentials like an extra mooring compensator. This thing would have been really awesome to have in Borkum, and a little bit of extra line, a floaty key holder thingy, and a door handle. If you've watched our recent videos, you'll know that the door for the head is kept closed with a bit of tape when we're sailing because we don't yet have a door handle. I was hoping we'd be able to use the one we picked up, but yeah, it's a little flimsy and I don't like the way it attaches. This door handle came with this round knob that goes here in the saloon, which looks a little bit odd, but also just the fact that you're supposed to cut out a chunk of the door and then sandwich this thing around that. Yeah, I don't really like that. I'd much rather find one of the ones that are mounted on the inside of the door, because that also put the striker somewhere that's not so inconvenient as with this one. With this door handle, the striker would have to protrude out into the saloon, and sure, I could trim this down a little bit so it wasn't so long, but then we'd have exposed edges of what I'm assuming is brass in here, and yeah, this is not a nice solution, so I'd rather hold off and continue with our tape solution just a little bit longer. Besides the door handle, there's something else we didn't have time to fix before we left Denmark, and that is to clean the top sides. They look a little right now, and I've been feeling a little self-conscious about it, but now that Eva's visa issue is kind of cleared up, then, well, I think we've got time to do a bit of cleaning. I've got some different products from Errands. That is the same brand I used when I spruced up Obelix, and the stuff worked really well there, so I have high hopes for here aboard Athena. Because Athena's top sides are painted with a 2-part paint, I'm going to use a slightly different process than what I used aboard Obelix. So I will give it a go with the shampoo and then the sealer. If the shampoo is not enough to remove everything, well, then I do also have some of this yellow stain remover, but let's just give it a go with the shampoo first and see if that works. The 3 containers over here are all the shampoo, the R140. The spray bottle here is the RTU version of that, the ready-to-use version. So that just means that this is concentrate and this has been thinned down. The recommended procedure for using this is to spray it on with a spray bottle and just wipe it off, and that should be it. I don't know if you guys can hear the fenders squeaking in the background and the rain hammering the deck, but I guarantee you it's not going to be very pleasant out there, but yeah, I better get to it. I sprayed on the shampoo and used a microfiber cloth to wipe it off as mentioned in the instructions. It worked like magic. It's hard to tell on the time-lapse footage, but check out the difference here, and this is just wiping it down, no scrubbing or anything like that. In the pouring rain, I worked my way along the hull, only stopping to pull in the bow to better be able to reach. After I was done with the shampoo, the rain stopped just long enough for me to be able to apply the sealer with a damp microfiber cloth and then remove it with a dry microfiber cloth after the sealer had dried.
It is a cold and rainy day outside. I don't know if you can hear the rain out there, but while Mess is out there cleaning the hull, I'm gonna be in here making some broccoli and potato soup. Hopefully that'll help warm him up when he comes inside. But I have some Danish potatoes we have to use up before they start sprouting. But it's been really nice on days like this when we have some extra time where we can use the galley for what it's meant for, cooking. Although it's been really hard to convince Mess that it's not for tool storage. We have an induction cooktop, so we got these magma nesting pots and pans. They were actually a gift from my parents, so thank you, Mom and Dad. But this big one flips over on top of that, and they all just nest inside of one another. And I was a little nervous about the weight when they were all together, but it hasn't been a problem, and the space saving has been really nice. And these ones are stainless steel and they're induction safe, and they clean up really nicely too. There aren't really any grocery stores within walking distance from where we are right now, but luckily we still have plenty of food left over from our provisioning in Denmark. And most importantly, we still have bacon. Chop the bacon, fry the bacon. While the bacon's cooking, I'm gonna chop the potatoes. Might as well throw some carrots in there too. Another kitchen product that I love is this little like whip chopper. I think I seen Justine from Salorama use one a while back, and we don't really have the space for a food processor, but this little thing is the best. You just put like the onions and garlic both in there and then just whip it, and it's chopped in seconds, and I love it. Bam! Chopped onions and garlic. Okay, just a quick side note, confessional. I don't know how Mads has done this for so long, rebuilding this entire boat and filming it all. I'm literally just making a simple soup, and every 5 minutes I forget something. I forget to press record. I don't know what step I am on the soup, so I don't know how he does it. He's friggin' pro. All right, cook those down. Add the water. Potatoes and carrots, some salt and pepper to season. Now let this baby come to a boil. Okay, next we have to make a roux, and don't worry, totally know what that is, have it under control. Found the flour, and all of our food is stored in this area right now temporarily because none of our other lockers have shelves, and we plan to make a little pantry in these lockers in the future. Before we roux, I'm gonna let the potatoes cook down a little bit, get a little bit softer, but in the meantime, I'm gonna make some cinnamon apple croissants, because why not? 'Tis the season. These are super simple. You just need a few ingredients. Most importantly, you need some croissants in a can. We found these in Borkum. I'm actually really surprised. But then just some cinnamon sugar, apples, pecans or walnuts, and some butter. I'm so upset. I literally just sat here and crushed all these walnuts with my fingers when I could have used my chopper. Then you just want to heat the butter up on the pan and toss the apples in and just let them soften just a little bit. Then it's a layer of cinnamon sugar, some walnuts, a few apples, and then roll them up. Backup has been called in for the roux. Add the broccoli. The next step says to mash the potatoes and everything a little bit, but we don't have a potato masher. We do have this falafel maker, so we're just gonna try and use that. The infamous roux is going in. Dinner is served. Mess made some garlic bread for the side and our apple cinnamon croissants for dessert.
Earlier I mentioned Ava's visa situation. Now almost all of the countries here in Europe are part of Schengen, which essentially means that there are no borders in between the countries once you are first inside of Schengen, which is really nice when you're traveling between countries because it makes it very easy, but there is one big but.
When, for instance, a US citizen comes to Europe, meaning Schengen, they're limited to 90 days in what's known as the 90 and 180 day rule, meaning they have 90 days to stay within a 180-day period. But once those 90 days are up, they have to leave Schengen and almost all of Europe. I am fast approaching those 90 days, and we've been trying as hard as we can to get to the UK as fast as possible, because there can be consequences for overstaying those 90 days. We've heard stories of deportation, fines and not being allowed back into Schengen. And for us, not being allowed back into Schengen would be catastrophic because our plan is next spring to hop down the west coast of Europe to head to the Canaries.
Quick little side note, the UK is not and have never been a part of Schengen, and in fact the UK is very generous with the amount of time both Ava and I can stay there. We're both allowed to stay for 6 months, no questions asked.
Over the last month, we have been trying to find solutions in case we get stuck, and there are some solutions. One of them would have been to get married, but up until a few weeks ago, we didn't know that would have made a difference for Schengen. Well, it does. But turns out getting a marriage license takes longer than we thought. Europe is not Vegas, so that is off the table. What is going to save our bacon is a long-held agreement between the US and the Netherlands that dates back to 1947.
Well, that's to say we're not 110% sure that that old agreement is in fact what's going to be saving our bacon, because Ava's appointment with immigration is not until next week. So we'll see if it's that old agreement or some other circumstance that's going to be our saving grace. Anywho, way before Schengen was a thing, way back in 1947, agreements were made between the US and a bunch of European countries allowing for a 90-day stay, and that has resulted in a somewhat messy situation today after Schengen.
For instance, if a US citizen goes to Italy for 90 days, then their Schengen clock would be up. But they could, for example, go to Denmark, which also has a bilateral agreement with the US, for an additional 90 days. So their 90-day Schengen is up, but they have an extra 90 days in Denmark. But mind you, they can only stay in that one country, in this example, Denmark, for the 90 days and not the rest of Schengen.
What makes this a little bit difficult and messy is that there is not a lot of information available today about how those bilateral agreements are used after Schengen became a thing, because apparently it's up to each country to decide if or how they honor those 90 days, if it's going to be in addition to the Schengen agreement or whatever. So yeah, it's very confusing.
My appointment with immigration is in The Hague next Friday.
And it looks like we can get a short little weather window to do the 25-mile jump from here to The Hague tomorrow. So yeah, let's set our alarm and get an early departure. Good morning, guys. Just as we planned, we got an early departure. We left while it was still pitch black. Sun is just now starting to come up. And it looks like the moon is also keeping us company. As usual, we've got the wind right on the nose. But that's okay, it's only a 25-mile jump. If we can keep our current speed of about 5 knots, which I doubt, but if we can, then we should get there around 12 o'clock, so a nice early arrival. It's shaping up to be a beautiful day out here, but that's not gonna last long, because I saw in the weather forecast that this afternoon, close to here, it's gonna be gusting something ridiculous like 55 knots or something like that. After about 5 hours of glorious motoring and bumping around, we have finally reached our destination. We're about 2 miles off of the entrance over there, so there's just a last little bit of getting in there. We called traffic control on VHF channel 21 and got permission to enter the harbor. The marina is located way in the back of what looks to be a pretty busy harbor with lots of giant ships. Unfortunately, the GoPro slipped a little bit, so you guys are missing a lot of the scenery here. But once we were in the marina, we just snagged the first available spot. This place looks much spiffier than Ijmuiden. There's a ton of restaurants right here in the marina. We're only 13 minutes by foot to the center of town, and then it's 20 minutes or something like that by public transportation to the center of the Hague. Ava was also very quick to point out that there's a Christmas store right over there. She's very excited about that. We'll be here for about a week because Ava's appointment with immigration isn't until next Friday, so yeah. But I could think of much worse places to get stuck. This is gonna be really nice. There is an Atlantic Wall Museum nearby that I'm really excited to check out. There's an awesome beach right on the other side of the marina. Not that this is really weather for it, but it's there. There's also some kind of pier there with a big wheelie thingy on it. And yeah, there's tons of restaurants here in the marina, and there's a super awesome supermarket so we can try out some Dutch specialities. And also there is a marine store right here in the marina. So I'll go there Monday morning early to see what they've got, and if they've got good stuff, well then maybe I can check off some things on the to-do list here aboard Athena next week. In terms of us pushing on towards the UK, the last half of next week looks perfectly acceptable. Of course, we can't really leave before Ava's had her appointment with immigration. There's also the fact that we need COVID tests that are no older than 72 hours to be allowed into the UK. That is probably going to delay or complicate our departure a little bit, but we'll figure out how to go about doing that over the next couple of days. Also next week, we want to start zeroing down on what marina we'd like to stay at in the UK for the next 4 or 5 months so I can get back into DIY mode and finish the boat so we'll be ready for the spring. So far, we're thinking somewhere in the Southampton area, but if you guys have any suggestions, just please go ahead and leave a comment down below.
And that's going to be the end of this week's video.
We hope to see all of you guys back here aboard Athena next week for hopefully a bit of DIY. And yeah, as always, feel free to leave a comment down below, and don't forget, if you've enjoyed this video,
Please remember to leave a like.
see you!